Hello, I'm Nate the Effing Great, and welcome to this exciting edition of The Game Changer, live here, of course, on Spreaker.com, as well as a couple other places that really don't need to be mentioned, including on YouTube. Okay, I'll mention that. So, originally the plan was to do a bit of a combined episode with myself and Victory Bell, but she is being given the day off because she has other commitments going on. So, I had to figure out to myself, what exactly could I do to improvise this? What could I do that would be better than possibly what we could have came up with? And I already made the announcement yesterday, so why not just go through with it today? We're actually going to be doing a very interesting deal here. It's going to be another edition of Change the F Up, and this time we're going to be focusing on one of the Money in the Bank participants. That's right, we're going to be rebooking Rusev.
Rusev Fudria, Rusev Machka.
Now, before Rusev had this whole Rusev Day and everything else where the fans were just getting fully behind him, and before he had Aiden English, it was him as the Bulgarian Brute and the ravishing Russian Lana. And you have to remember that he actually was a pretty dominant force, but the problem was he was very mishandled, especially when it came to his run as the United States champion, because every single time he would fight, it was Bulgaria or Russia versus USA, USA versus Russia, Russia versus USA, and this person lost to Rusev, so therefore he let down the entire nation of America. It was just so dumb. And then when we went to the US title deal, it felt like the US title was not even relevant until John Cena got into the picture. That is unfortunate, really, to see. But I can also understand why, because John Cena still did a great job of making that championship actually mean something. So, Rusev actually had a pretty good run throughout his first year in WWE, but it really started to go downhill in 2015. I mean, it started off good. January, he was the runner-up in the Royal Rumble. And then in Fastlane, he had that victorious matchup against John Cena. Then it just went downhill from there because John Cena won at Mania. They had a rematch at Extreme Rules. Cena won. Then they had a match at Payback. Cena won. Rusev got injured. And then they had that really godforsaken feud with Dolph Ziggler, in which they incorporated Summer Rae as well, which went absolutely nowhere. Then TMZ, of course, broke the news about Lana and Rusev being engaged, which screwed up the entire story. And then it just boiled down from there, because then they got punished for their engagement. Rusev lost to Ryback in like 30 seconds, might even been a minute. And after that, we had Rusev with the League of Nations. Wow, this was the worst year for Rusev. I mean, it started off great, but then after that, it just died out. So, what I'm actually going to be doing is that instead of changing everything completely, I'm actually going to take some of the things that WWE has given me here, and I'm going to work with it. I'm not going to be one of those people that, does like little small changes here and there, but some of the things are definitely going to be very similar. So this is going to be definitely a lot different than what I've done in the past, but I think that I can actually take this storyline, this entire year of Rusev, and make him still a very relevant as well as still a major star in this year, and still keeping some of that credibility. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is how I would have booked Rusev in 2015. So we start off with the Royal Rumble. Nothing really changes there. He's still the runner-up. He still gets eliminated by Roman Reigns. I mean, obviously I could talk about that one as a different story all itself, but we're going to just keep it more on Rusev. So, after the match has been, Rusev is still on a bit of a tear, And we head to Fastlane, where he's not being challenged by John Cena. No. We're doing a one-and-done deal between Rusev and Ryback. Remember when Ryback did that promo, I think it was the December before, where he was basically talking about Rusev, and he talked about, it's not going to be a Russia versus USA thing. It's going to be a big guy beating up another big guy thing. That was an awesome promo, because for once, it wasn't about that whole deal that JBL keeps saying, do it for USA, blah, 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 blah. He made it where he just wanted to pick a fight with a big guy who was just in over his head. And honestly, guys, if you remember, he actually defeated Rusev via countout, I believe it was. Yes, it was a countout on a SmackDown, remember. So we need to capitalize on that. So we'll just assume that that's how Ryback gets into the U.S. title picture. So he had a countout victory. He gets a United States Championship match at Fastlane. And during this matchup, this is where you really start to see where you might think that Rusev's going to have his first loss between him and Ryback. So Ryback is very close. He does the meat hook clothesline, hits a shell shock. He thinks he's got the win, but Lana breaks it up with the ropes. He tries to go for another one, but then Lana distracts the referee. Rusev gets off the shoulder, hits a low blow, and then hits his classic super kick, and then he locks in the accolade. Ryback, it seems like he's going to overpower him, but then Rusev just using his force, using his mass to just overpower Ryback, and unfortunately Ryback has to tap out. Rusev retains the U.S. Championship. So the following night, Rusev is just complaining about how I am doing really good. I'm defeating every single person. I am a better United States champion. Then he goes through the list of people. He goes through people like Ric Flair, like Harley Race, like Booker T. He even mentions John Cena, which comes no surprise that brings out... Yep, John Cena himself. John Cena comes out, and he's basically saying that he wants a crack at Rusev because he's sat idly by listening to Rusev just talk, and he cannot take it anymore. And he wants to face Rusev at WrestleMania. Ryback comes out, and he makes a statement where he says, I came this close to beating you. So if anybody's going to get a shot at you at WrestleMania, it's going to be me. Well, here comes the Authority who come out, and Triple H, he comes out, he's just saying, I got new nails from my shelf. I'm going to put up the shelf because I'm a dad. I'm sorry. Just a little joke that I love to bring up every now and then. But Triple H basically saying, well, you guys... I can't do a Triple H impression, but he says, well, you guys really want to fight Rusev. Okay, well, the two of you are going to fight each other, and the winner will face Rusev for the U.S. title at WrestleMania. So we get Rusev watching on as he sees Ryback versus John Cena, and these guys put on a really good matchup. This is one of those matches that they had, I think it was maybe 2 years ago? Yep, it would have been 2 years ago from that time. And it's still pretty good. But in the end, John Cena hits his AA 1, 2, 3. John Cena is going to WrestleMania. And they definitely do build up the fact that John Cena does want to win for the United States of America, but he also wants to win the U.S. title back because he believes that that championship is indeed a prestigious title and that he can bring more prestige to it. And when it's on Rusev, it's just basically a spit in the face of all the other people who have held on to that championship. And he mentions those names, like I said, Ric Flair, Harley Race, Booker T, just listing a lot of the people who have held on to that championship. And of course, we get on to WrestleMania. The entrances are still the same. We get John Cena doing his little generic deal of, his 20 different shirts, and then him doing his salute deal. He comes out to the ring, and then Rusev still comes out on a tank because that was the best damn entrance that you could possibly have. But we are going to have it where John Cena comes out first and Rusev comes out last. So that way John Cena has a little bit of time to react where he's like, maybe I'm in over my head just a little bit. So John Cena and Rusev just lay it all out on each other. They have one of the best matches of the night. Not the best match of the night, but still one of them. We see, Rusev doing the Alabama Slam. We see him doing maybe like a lot of more power moves, just breaking out new moves that we don't see from him in times past. Cena, he hits that springboard stunner. He only hits it during this match. He doesn't do it like 20 different times throughout the year. No. He does it only during this matchup. He does that just to kind of, keep everybody on their toes and just surprise everybody. And to make that, move a bit more legitimate, actually Rusev puts his foot on the bottom rope and Cena is just like, oh man, I came so close. So Cena hits an AA, 1, 2, Rusev kicks out. And Rusev and John Cena is just like, oh boy, what am I going to have to do now? Rusev hits a super kick eventually, then locks in the accolade. Cena is able to reach the bottom rope, and Rusev's just thinking, okay, that's my best move. What am I going to do? Cena goes for another AA, and at this point, Lana gets involved. She distracts the referee. Cena gets a little bit distracted as well. Rusev hits a huge, massive low blow on Cena, and then hits a super kick to the back of Cena's head, to which Rusev locks in the accolade for the second time, and we see him just looking like he's just using as much strength as he can to hold on to that accolade. Cena, unfortunately, passes out. He, quote-unquote, submits to the accolade, and we have that huge shock factor that happens at WrestleMania. Rusev defeats Cena at Mania, and everybody, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be cheering like, yeah, oh man, John Cena lost to Rusev at WrestleMania. Rusev's done amazing, and blah, 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 blah. And there will still be people, even kids in there, that'll be like, did John lose? This is WrestleMania. This is supposed to be like a big deal for him. What's going on here? What is it? Just giving that shock value where people are just kind of like, whoa, they actually did this. They actually gave Rusev the win. Let them have that nostalgia moment. And besides, Rusev is definitely going to be doing a lot more as the year goes on. So the following night, Rusev comes out. He says, I beat the American John Cena. I am indeed the greatest person to hold this championship. And I'm going to prove that by having the Rusev Open, where basically he's just saying that he's going to pick a hometown boy, and he's going to have them to get an opportunity against Rusev for the United States Championship. And every single time that he does this, it's against a jobber. And this goes on for about, I think it was like maybe 2-3 weeks. John Cena's had enough, and he's saying, I am not going to put up for this. I want a rematch for that United States Championship. And I wanted, he says tonight, the authority says, well, we already have you in mind for a battle royal, and the winner will face Rusev for the U.S. title at Extreme Rules. So Cena just says, all right, fine, I'll take that. Cena, of course, picks up the victory, so it's Cena versus Rusev at Extreme Rules. And we still get the Russian chain match. Now, I know, people are already going to be groaning, oh, great, we're going to get this stupid matchup here. Here's the thing. If you change the matchup a bit, then you're creating something different. Then you'll make people want to be like, oh, okay, this is actually not the worst strap type match ever. So, indeed, during this matchup, we definitely do see quite a bit more brutality than what we saw at WrestleMania. We see Rusev and Cena, using the chain. They're doing the whole deal with the four corners. Near the end of the matchup, Cena is looking to finish off Rusev. Rusev is just about to hit the final corner, and then Cena gets him up. He hits the AA. Lana distracts the referee. Cena hits the final turnbuckle, but unfortunately the referee doesn't see it. Cena's thinking like, oh, I won, but then he notices Lana has the referee distracted, so he gets up. He basically is telling Lana to get down. He's trying to get the referee to, look at the fact that he touched the corner. Rusev comes charging in after Cena, but unfortunately Rusev hits Lana instead of Cena. Keep this in mind because there's a reason for it. And Lana is down and out. Rusev is picked up by Cena for another AA, but then we see Rusev hit another low blow, super kick to the back of the head. Rusev locks in the accolade using the chain, and we see Cena's face just go from just pale to pink to red to purple. He is just completely out of it. And Rusev just lets go after knowing that he has Cena knocked out. Then he takes Cena to a spot in the middle of the ring, on the outside of the ring, and he actually ties Cena to that post where one of the corner, he ties him to a post. And he uses that chain to wrap basically Cena around in it. And he actually slips his hand out of the chain and puts it on John Cena. So basically Cena is just wrapped up in this chain. He is stuck. Rusev goes first turnbuckle, second turnbuckle, third turnbuckle. He reaches the post where you see John Cena there. He's slowly getting back into it. He's slowly starting to regain consciousness, and he sees what's going on. And Rusev is just taunting Cena. He is basically just saying, like, oh, I'm going to touch it. I'm going to touch it. I'm going to touch it. He's just toying with him, making it just seem like, I got this win. There's nothing you can do about it. And he's just savoring the fact that he's got it. Cena is just about to get free, and then Rusev touches the final turnbuckle. Rusev, in a decisive fashion, defeats John Cena in the Russian chain match. Following night, John Cena is just saying, like, I got cheated out of this matchup. This should not have happened. And blah, 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 blah. And the Authority comes out and they say, well, Cena, you have to understand that the rules don't say that you need to be chained to your opponent to win the matchup. And make it very specific about this matchup. You don't have to make that always about, like, the certain strap matches or the bull rope matches. But in the Russian chain match, you make it seem like, this was not in the rules. So don't blame us for having Rusev take advantage of what was his matchup. He didn't violate the rules, so not much you can really do about that. And Cena's just saying, I want one more shot at him. I want to fight him for the U.S. title. And the Authority says, well, we're for the idea, but the thing is, you have to convince Rusev, because he's going to be the only one that's going to allow that. He's already beaten you twice. You can't expect him to go for a third time. So first time Cena asks, and Rusev says, no, I'm not going to do it. During this time, Rusev has taken on a couple of mid-carders, such as, Zack Ryder, Heath Slater. Still not quite, still like a step above Jobber. But still Rusev is just disrespecting the United States Championship. It's about 2 weeks before Payback. Cena has been turned down time and time again. And Cena just says, look, I am going to beat the ever-living crap out of you unless you give me that U.S. Championship matchup at Payback. And Rusev just says, why should I do that? I've beaten you twice. I beat you at WrestleMania. I beat you at Extreme Rules. What could you possibly do to make me want to fight you again? Yeah, you could beat me up, but that's not going to do anything. You look at yourself. You're a shell of your former self, and you realize that you are just losing to the young lion, and you can't accept the fact that your time is done, and Rusev's time is now. So Rusev is heading up the rampway with Lana. Cena is just taking a moment where he is just reflecting on the things that have been going on, the things that he's said, and he says to Rusev, you know what? You're right. You're right. You've beaten me twice, and you're right. Maybe I'm just at that point where I need to realize that my time is indeed done. But I can't do that unless I get this one match against you. And he makes a proposition to Rusev. He says, if you can beat me one more time, then I will leave WWE. That stops Rusev. He turns around and he just says, I'm sorry, what did you say? He says, Cena says, I'll leave WWE. I'm sorry, my English is still a little bit fuzzy. What exactly you say? I will leave WWE. I'm still not quite understanding. And John Cena screams out, I will quit WWE. And then Rusev just has a smile on his face, and he just says, that's what I want to hear. You want a match against me? All right. We will do it at Payback. If you beat me, you win the U.S. Championship. But when I beat you, your career is over. So the following week, the build-up to Payback, we have Rusev and John Cena, the contract signing between the two of them. And during this contract signing, it is indeed revealed that at Payback, they will face off against each other in an I Quit match. Because Rusev wants Cena's final words in the company to be I quit. He wants to be the one that forces Cena to quit. the company, to make him utter those 2 words and to end his career. It just would make him so happy. And he can say that. He can be the one that says, I made Cena quit. I made him utter the 2 words, I quit. Making that matchup so much more intense and so much more impactful. So we do get the match at Payback. Honestly, guys, this would be the main event. It would be Rusev against John Cena for the U.S. title in an I Quit matchup. As much as I really loved the 4-way matchup between Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Randy Orton, this matchup between Rusev and Cena has been built right, and it deserves that main event level spot. That is just my opinion. And it's one of the first few times you get to see the U.S. title main event a pay-per-view. During this matchup, we see these two just beat the ever-living hell out of each other. This is at least maybe 45 minutes. I would have this be like the longest match of the entire card. We see chairs being used. We see getting thrown to a table. We see Cena barely getting that much in the way of momentum. Rusev just seems to have an answer for every single move that he has. And then finally Cena goes for the AA. Rusev hits a low blow, super kick to the back of the head. He locks in the accolade, and unfortunately Cena passes out. Rusev just realized that, throws him down, grabs some water, splashes it in Cena's face, and he is thinking, I'm going to make you quit. He grabs the chain that he used in the Russian chain match, and he wraps it onto Cena, locks that sucker in. And I would have the chain actually be on the chin of Cena. I wouldn't have it around the throat because obviously it's PG. If you have it on the chin, it still can be one of those things that could be very lethal. It could still at least look very lethal. So Rusev is just cranking and cranking. You see again Cena's face just turning all different colors. He is literally getting choked out again. And the referee is at the point where he is thinking, like, this is too much. This is too much. I got to call for it. So referee is getting ready to call for the bell. Rusev lets go of the hold, and he grabs referee. And he's just saying, don't you dare do that. You are not going to just end it and show him mercy. No. He wants that pleasure. He wants him to utter the words, I quit. This is going on for maybe at least a minute of him just arguing with the referee. Referee's trying to be like, I'm just doing my job. Rusev says, I don't care. He does not lose unless he says the words, I quit. Cena is just stirring. He's getting back up again. And Rusev, of course, does, his Rusev crash. He goes for the stomp for the accolade. Cena gets out of the way. As soon as Rusev hits the ring mat, he obviously holds his ankle. He hit the ground. He hit that a little too hard. Cena sees that advantage. He goes right after the leg. He goes crazy on it. He just does, elbow drops to the leg. He does a deal where he grabs a steel chair and just starts bashing it in. He wedges it underneath it and does a deal where he just jumps off the top rope. Boom! Smashed, crushing Rusev's ankle. Rusev is just crying in pain. Then finally Cena locks in the STF, and he is just wrenching. He's trying so hard. Rusev is just screaming. He is just, doing an agony, and Rusev is just refusing. Cena is just like, you know what? To hell with this. He grabs the Russian chain. He wraps it around Rusev, locks it in. You just see him just cranking. Now Rusev's face is just turning all different colors, and he is still speaking in that native tongue. He's just screaming in a foreign language nobody really knows. And then Lana, of course, she comes in and she intervenes. She says, John, stop. He quits. He just quits. So that is where the referee calls for the bell, and John Cena wins the United States Championship. Rusev has suffered a huge major loss, but he still has quite a bit of momentum left in him. After that, on Raw, we see John Cena doing the U.S. Open the right way, where he challenges, guys like Dean Ambrose and Stardust and Neville, having all those great matches going on, including having that feud with Kevin Owens, which was absolutely great. That following Raw, we see Rusev on crutches. He is just disgruntled. He is just not happy. He is just like, I cannot believe this whole deal. He is just absolutely incensed. He's just like, are you kidding me? This is just... Now, it was one of those things where it's like, I cannot believe I, lost to this. I did not quit. He can say, I didn't say the words, I quit, where he's just making excuse after excuse. And he admits that, he hurt himself during the matchup. He underestimated Cena, but he did not quit. And he says, who quit? Lana quit. He points at Lana. He's blaming Lana. He's just verbally just abusing her, just saying how you almost cost me the title at Extreme Rules, and then you literally cost me the title at Payback, where he basically just yells at her, and she is just a mess. She is just slowly just going from scared to just starting to have tears run down her face. She is very distraught about this. She basically is begging Rusev, just, she's saying sorry. She's trying to say, I did not want you to get hurt. And Rusev's just saying, I don't care. I need time to recover, and you need to get out of my ring. So Lana is leaving just a crying mess. And I know that seems very, very mean, but this breaks off the two. And this also gives her more reason to fall into the arms of, you guessed it, Dolph Ziggler. So I'm trying to get my notes right here. So Rusev comes back at around Battleground time. And during this time, Dolph Ziggler has really helped Lana kind of open up more. She's not wearing the suits anymore. She's, let her hair down. She does have that whole, jean jacket, jean shorts kind of deal. Let's face it, that stuff was hot. I'm not going to lie. So Rusev is back, and Summer Rae is noticing that he is definitely a different kind of wrestler, and she's basically trying to be like, I'll be stronger than Lana ever was. And Rusev says, all right, fine, I'm going to do that. But he also targets Dolph Ziggler because he still has quote-unquote feelings for Rusev. It's kind of one of those things where they go backstage and they see Rusev and Lana kind of crossing paths, and they really don't say too much with each other, but you can definitely feel that there's still something between the two of them. And this evolves into a match between Rusev and Dolph Ziggler at SummerSlam. But it ends in a no contest because Dolph Ziggler's and Rusev just beat the ever-living hell out of each other. They beat each other into the crowd. They beat each other onto the rampway. It just gets to be a very physical matchup. So during this whole time, Rusev slowly starts, trying to talk about how Lana needs him more than he needs Lana. He's just being very, proud of himself. He's just being like, I'm better. But backstage, you definitely do feel like he's resenting some of the things that he's done. He actually, secretly sends Lana flowers without her even knowing, but she thinks it's from Dolph. And he's doing some of these nice things. And then we get on to the rematch between Dolph Ziggler and Rusev, and it happens the Raw before Night of Champions. I think you know why, because Night of Champions should be more championship implications. There's no championship implication during this rivalry. It's just a rivalry between Rusev and Dolph Ziggler. So we see Rusev trying to win Lana back, and during this matchup, we actually see a bit of a double turn here. We see Rusev just about ready to defeat Dolph Ziggler, and Summer Rae actually goes up to Lana. They get into a little bit of a fight, and Summer Rae actually takes Lana down. And this is where we see Rusev just absolutely, he's done. He's at the point where he's like, no, don't hurt Lana. I still have feelings for Lana. I still love Lana. And Summer Rae, she is just like, oh, okay. Referee distracted because he's attending to Dolph. Summer Rae actually slaps Rusev, hits him with a low blow, and we see Dolph Ziggler hit a zigzag on Rusev for the victory, and Rusev's first official pinfall loss on the main roster. So we see both Lana and Rusev just lying there in a heap. Dolph Ziggler and Summer Rae, they're up the ramps, and they are just smiling, and they are just proud of what they did. And then they sealed it with just this Edge and Lita-like kiss between the two of them. The following week, they both come out, and they talk about, well, this was all a giant plan because we wanted to get into Rusev's head. Dolph Ziggler just said, I played Lana because I knew that a man that big, that muscular, could not resist the looks and the charms of a beautiful woman like Lana. So, in order for me to really get into this, I had to find somebody who was just equally as hot, Summer Rae, to go in and basically try to get into Rusev's head just as much. And we knew that when she threw Lana into the barricade, that was it. And I took advantage of it, and I defeated the almighty and all-powerful Rusev, and I gave him his first loss, not only in NXT, but also on the main roster here in WWE. And now everybody is going to remember me, because you may not like me, but you have to respect the fact that I have defeated the undefeated Rusev. I am the one to do it. He's basically hamming it up like it's somehow as big as Brock Lesnar defeating The Undertaker. He is just rubbing it in people's faces like, I defeated Rusev, I am better. Just really making it just one of those things that just really rubs people the wrong way. It's like, he had these great matches with Cena and he lost to Dolph Ziggler. But now Dolph Ziggler thinks that he's on top of the world, that he is going to be the one to really get that championship. He's going to be the main guy on the roster. And during this time, we also see the reveal of Lana and Rusev being, married, getting engaged. And eventually they both come out, and Rusev talks about how he knows that what he did was wrong. He had no right to verbally abuse Lana. So they have had secret meetings, and they show photos. They don't show photos of the ones on Raw where Rusev's doing like all these nice things. No, they actually show them, going out to dinner, going to see like a Broadway play or something like that, where they basically are just trying to reconnect. And he said, during those times, I really learned to appreciate Lana for the woman that she was. Not as my ambassador, but as my best friend. And I knew that I wanted my best friend by my side. And he actually gets on his hands and knees, and he actually says, Lana, in front of everybody here, I want to publicly apologize for how I treat you. And it's one of those things that it works, because he realizes how much Lana means to him. And Lana at first seems a little bit hesitant, but she looks at Rusev, she sees the just tears that are coming down from his face, and the genuine emotions that are coming out of him. And Lana just says, even though these people know you as the Bulgarian Brute, you will always be my one true love and my bestest best friend. The two of them share a nice little kiss, and then we see Summer and Dolph come out, and they're just like, oh, how sweet, the two end up together. And here I was worried that I was going to be the one that was the sloppy seconds. But no, Rusev, you're the sloppy seconds for the sloppy Russian. Basically it makes this more personal. And it evolves into a mixed tag team matchup at Hell in a Cell. We see Summer Rae and Dolph Ziggler taking on Rusev and Lana. Lana's first match back. And unfortunately, Dolph Ziggler and Summer Rae get the victory because Lana is inexperienced. They show a couple times where, she can do moves, but as far as wrestling in the ring, she's not quite there yet. This also builds up to the two of them actually costing each other matches in the WWE Championship Tournament going into Survivor Series, which makes this feud, again, even more personal. And finally, Rusev just says, you know what, Lana, we're going to train. We are going to really teach you how to be, strong like me, but we're also going to teach you how to wrestle just good on your own. So we show hype packages of the two of them training, and Lana gets better in the ring, and she's just imagining that, her super kicks and the person that she's kicking is Summer Rae. She is just going absolutely berserk, and there comes one moment where Lana locks in like a major accolade to her dummy opponent, her jobber opponent, and then Rusev just picks her up, and he says, "You're ready. We're gonna face them." And then we get another matchup between these four individuals at Survivor Series. And during this matchup, Lana and Rusev get their revenge by locking in a double accolade on Summer Rae and Dolph Ziggler. Both of them are forced to tap out. Rusev and Lana get their big victory on a big stage here at Survivor Series. Then we get a rematch between Rusev and Dolph Ziggler in a chairs match. And during this matchup, it's announced that it's going to be a number one contendership match for the United States Championship. So we definitely do capitalize back on the fact that Rusev does want to win back the U.S. title. Now that Rusev is a babyface, he's defeating Dolph Ziggler. He will be the one that goes on to face off against Alberto Del Rio in a future episode, not Kalisto, because now we have a more established babyface here. And I think that Rusev and Del Rio could actually put on a pretty good matchup. If they want to, they can have the matchup on the New Year's edition of Raw, or they can build it up at Royal Rumble. I personally would have that on the New Year's episode, well, the quote-unquote New Year's episode of Raw, have the two of them face off, and Del Rio, unfortunately, does not defeat Rusev. Rusev wins back the United States Championship, and we start him off as a pretty big-time babyface going into the new year. So, yeah, I think that it accomplished a lot of things. We didn't have Rusev be buried by John Cena. He puts on 3 great matches with him. We have him have a shocking defeat at the hands of Dolph Ziggler. And it's for a deal where Dolph Ziggler is back as a heel. He's a cocky, arrogant deal, which works perfectly. You have the pairing of him and Summer Rae, which makes more sense than Summer Rae and Tyler Breeze. No disrespect to Tyler Breeze, but it just did not work out that well. I just did not see the two of them really working that well together. And like I said, we're capitalizing on a deal where, yes, we have the whole marriage thing that kind of threw everything off, but you improvise with it. You don't just think like, oh, well, we have this big plan. You knew everybody knew what was going to happen. Don't just be like, oh, well, now we have to punish Rusev because it makes sense. It didn't make sense. So, obviously, it's not a perfect booking, because if I was booking this whole thing, maybe I would have gotten thrown off by it, but I would not have punished Rusev for it. I would have embraced the fact that it happened, change up a few things, and then move on from there. That's how, honestly, I would have done it. So that is my rebooking of Rusev in 2015. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening into this podcast. You can always follow me on Twitter at RealLifeInGame. Give us a like on our Facebook fan page, facebook.com/changingupthegame. Money in the Bank is just around the corner. It could be Rusev Day. It could be Glorious. It could be Monster in the Bank. It could be absolutely anything going into this Money in the Bank event. We don't know, but we're going to find out in just a little over a week. It's going to be an absolutely amazing weekend. Do not miss out on it, you guys. So I've been Nate the Effing Great. Thank you for joining me here, and I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Rusev Fudria, Rusev Machka.